Am I the asshole for calling my boyfriend naive and privileged? Okay, so I 25F, am dating this guy Tony, 21M. We knew each other as kids, but due to our different family situations, he got to leave our town and go off to live somewhere else. Years later, we met again and started dating recently. Tony is currently in the process of getting his physics BA at an Ivy League school and frequently brags about this achievement, which is, I suppose, deserved. He also has a part-time job, which is pretty much entirely for his own luxury expenses. He often makes comments on how it's awesome that almost everyone has the opportunity to advance in life and get a good education, which is just fundamentally untrue. I'm in less of a good financial situation, having had lots of family troubles, which mean I have a lot of financial obligations. Tony has been trying to be supportive, but it often just comes off as patronizing and condescending, with an "I did it, why can't you" kind of attitude. He keeps suggesting different ways to cut expenses on grocery, water bills, electricity, but they're just not feasible. I finally snapped at him yesterday that he couldn't possibly understand what I'm going through, and he started getting angry and saying that he definitely knew how to budget better than I do, which is when I called him naive and privileged. He's never had any family he needs to support. He doesn't know what I'm saying. He looked at me really upset and said he couldn't believe I'd said that, and then walked out. I feel bad for snapping like that, but it's true. He needs to understand the place of privilege he's coming from. Edit changed to "You're the asshole." When I first gave my judgment, OP didn't write all of these important factors: life foster care, financial aid for college involving her boyfriend. So much info was missing when I gave my judgment, so NTA turned to "You're the asshole." OP, you left out the most important information out of your original post. Another edit. For Tony, you sound like a good, hardworking man who deserves better. You managed to achieve so much at a young age, all while coming from a difficult background. I am proud of you. You definitely deserve a better girlfriend who appreciates you and everything you've managed to achieve. He did get a full ride, financial aid, so OP conveniently omitted that from the original post. Said post was also pretty judgmental about the boyfriend's part-time job, which she said is pretty much entirely for his own luxury expenses. Then OP completely dismissed all of boyfriend's suggestions to save money. None are feasible according to OP. Suppose it's possible, but doesn't seem likely. I don't get the impression OP actually likes or respects the boyfriend, in which case OP would be better off calling it a day on this relationship. Edit removed scholarship reference. OP stated financial aid, nothing about a scholarship. I've had a few folks in my life who I've tried to help when they vent about how stressful their financial situations are, and then they proceed to tell me none of my suggestions are feasible. Now I just say, yeah, shit's rough. My biggest pet peeve is people complaining about something, but then making zero moves to fix it. Anyway, for the OP, maybe your boyfriend is naive and privileged since you didn't give us any of the particulars of your finances/the argument. But if you just want someone to vent to, you should be clear that you're not looking for help or suggestions and are just venting. And you should make sure your boyfriend is okay with you just venting your stress and frustrations to him. Otherwise, you're the one being rude. Don't want to pass judgment too much, but both of you are acting pretty arrogant just from what you posted here. Things are likely more complicated. They always are. It seems you two are having difficulty relating to one another. He doesn't know your experience, you don't know his. He might be better at budgeting than you, but he is almost certainly ignorant of your background too. You two need to come together and figure out a way to walk a mile in each other's shoes. That way, a compromise might be made and better understanding reached. You might be doing a bang-up job. There's no way for me to know. But what I do know is that people are prideful and hate admitting that they might be wrong. Lots of people think they budget well, but don't, and it keeps them poor. Lots of lucky people like to think they understand struggle, but they don't, and it keeps them arrogant. Hi, darling. I know you supposedly dislike my advice, but here's some more. If you're going to post about our relationship problems on a public site, it's wise to not do it on one of the subreddits I visit frequently. Throwaways and fake names only do so much when you include our ages, my specific degree, and the exact words you used with me. What's really quite interesting is the fact you left several things out. Now, when you decide to air out our troubles to the world, I suppose we owe these strangers at least the full truth, don't you, darling? When we talk about how I got to leave our town, it might be a nice thing to mention it was actually just me being transferred from place to place because I was a foster child. Funny how that works, isn't it, darling? And yes, I know not everyone from my position is as lucky to get where I am today. I did get lucky, but I was commenting on how much better it is now than it used to be, which is also true. My budgeting advice may have been a bit extreme, which I know recognize in hindsight, but understandably, my idea on what isn't regular living expenses is a little skewed, since I often didn't have access to the bare minimum. It's also very interesting that you chose specifically to omit the reason I was actually upset with you. Quite odd, isn't it, darling? See, I don't mind being called naive or privileged, but what I do mind is the fact you very callously pointed out the fact the reason I've never had to support my family is because I don't have one. Yes, that was wonderful to hear, honestly, darling. I would have appreciated it if you gave me a few days to cool down after this. Darling, unfortunately, you chose to post this on the very site I often go to cool down. I find it fun to read about moral dilemmas of others. I do not appreciate reading a twisted version of my own. Kind regards, Tony. How can people say he is privileged? He is working part-time to run his expenses, and he is good at studies. As the op said, he has got full financial aid as well. That is a 21-year-old hard-working boy. I feel sorry for those who are saying, that's privilege. This is hard work and dedication. You're the asshole. Good budget needs common sense, not an Ivy League degree. Also, life is not fair to everyone. But that doesn't mean you can show your frustration to your partner when he is just trying to help you. Well, that's another episode of Am I the Asshole in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.